Welcome, guys. So nice to have you here in this interview. Today, I'm interviewing Alejandro. He is a friend of mine. I met him on LinkedIn. This is why I always talk to you about LinkedIn. I mean, it is a really good, resource for finding interesting people. Now, Alejandro is an expert on CV writing, and because you always have questions on CV writing, I just invited him to ask him some questions. I have this online course on job interviews, and at the end, I have some kind of a bonus with some tips on writing a resume, writing a cover letter, etc. But that's kind of, basic because it's like an introduction on how to do the whole thing. And I've noticed that my students and people on the speaking club, they always have specific questions. I share with you some of the questions. We're going to take that at the end. But first of all, I would like you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do.
Hi, Gabby. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here to share my knowledge with you, with your students. I am a professional resume writer and career counselor, and I'm very enthusiastic about being here because I want to give your students precise, reliable advice for them to help them spruce up their resumes, because I want to help people to stand out, to thrive, and just to stand out among the crowd, because nowadays companies receive hundreds of resumes, of CVs for the vacancies, and the people need to know how to stand out and how to make the correct match, because companies need people and people need companies to work for, and the match is needed, and the CV will help with that.
Love it. I mean, it's like you read my mind, because I always tell them the same, like, you have to adapt the resume. It's like we undervalue the importance of the resume and this first contact with the, hiring manager, etc. Okay, so cool. So, I don't know, what do you have for us today?
Okay, well, I have prepared a document, as you can see here, and I wanted to tell you what is the basic structure of our resume. Resume and curriculum vitae are words that have some shades of meaning, but you shouldn't worry about that because they are interchangeable. Maybe Americans use more resume, and I like English language very much. This is a linguistics, because I studied linguistics. And resume is a word that comes from French. That is why it has its weird signs that you may not find
in English.
In English, thank you.
Absolutely.
You will see the word resume written without this without accents. Well, the topics I cover in this document, that I will send you the document for you to share with your students if you want, and if they want, the goals, the content, and the parts of a resume. Well, and I wanted to start with this phrase that I love. This phrase comes from Steve Martin: be so good they can't ignore you. You have to, you have to do your best and the world won't ignore you if you make the necessary efforts to stand out.
Absolutely.
And well, what are the goals of a resume? The main goal is to be called for an interview. Okay, the resume doesn't do the whole job. But it gives you the first step for to enter the selection process. But you need it to stand out in the crowd. As I said before, you'll be competing against 200, 250 people that are applying for the same job. And in the curriculum, you have to tell them who you are and what you can do for them. That is very important. And you should take into account that there are machines that are scanning, reading your resume, but there are people who are reading them. And they don't have too much time to analyze, to read all the document. They will read the upper 1/3 part of the first page of your resume, in case it has more than one page. So on the upper third part, you must tell them who you are and what you can do for them. If that interests them, they will read the rest of their resume. Okay, let's see the content.
Okay.
Well, the resume must be readable.
Right.
You should choose a font and a size and stick to it. Okay? Maybe you can choose a font for the titles and another size for the titles, but no more than that. Okay? Well, make it look professional. That seems it's very important. Okay, to make it look professional. Not too many colors. Okay.
I was going to ask you about it. For example, there are some templates on Canva that are pretty simple. There are others that are a little more complex. So do you recommend using a template or just a Google Doc format or a Word format?
Well, Canva is great. I think Canva is one of the greatest inventions.
My best friend.
Yeah, and you can use Canva, and it will give you you can make you can make a beautiful resume. But the problem is that many times resumes are scanned by computers and by robots. Their name are applicant tracking systems, and maybe those resumes will be well read by those machines. So they may be useful if the resumes are going to be read by people. And how can you know? Well, if you are going to send a resume through email, well, there are high chances that it will be read by a person. But if you are going to upload it on a platform, well, it may be read by a machine. And one thing you can do is just call the company, if you know the name of the company, and ask them what systems they use. Well, maybe they don't want to tell you.
Exactly.
you have nothing to lose.
And I think it depends also on the size of the company. Like if it is a big company, like I don't know, Coca-Cola or something like that, probably they are going to use, you know, these machines. But if it is a small company, maybe not so popular, probably they have a more humanized system.
Yeah, 99% of great companies use ATS for scanning resumes.
Okay.
But little companies are adapting these systems increasingly because, well, there are cheaper options for them. So that happens. Well, but you shouldn't overuse graphic content because machines don't read graphic content.
So for example, because I've seen in these templates that the skills, hard skills and soft skills, they are expressed with some graphics, like, you know, some info, no, like teamwork 100%. What about the degrees? Because some people use degrees in the skills, like teamwork 100%, I don't know, sociability 50%, etc. Do we have to do that, like including percentages in the skills?
No, you don't need that.
Okay. only in the English level, like intermediate, pre-intermediate, or pre-intermediate.
Yeah, in the English level,
or languages.
You can say, languages. You can say that you are basic, mid, or advanced level is now. Okay. Well, but my favorite resumes, my favorite forms are those you make on your with your Word, in a Word document. Okay. That are the best, are the most clear, and are the most readable for people. Absolutely. And for machine. Awesome. You craft your resume in a Word document, and then you save it as PDF and you send it as PDF.
Awesome. Okay. Very good.
Well, the resume should be persuasive. You should use power words like implemented, executed, organized, action verbs, and the form is the past simple, and you should omit the subject because that I implemented, I executed, I organized. Well, the subject I should be omitted. Okay, that's a question of style.
Yeah.
Style.
So you write the list of your responsibilities in your previous jobs, just like executed, blah blah blah, organized, blah blah blah, implemented, right? Okay.
But you should focus on achievements more than on responsibilities. Nowadays, the recommended practices for writing resumes are this: you concisely express in no more than 2 lines your responsibilities, and then in maybe 3 or 4 or 2, depends, bullet points, you put your achievements. That's a very, very complex issue when you're writing your resume, or when I am writing other people's resumes, because they say, I don't have any achievements. But you, as a worker, you should keep track of your achievements. Day by day, you are doing things that you think that they are part of the job, but they are achievements. They are important things you are doing for your company. So you should have something like this, and you jot down your achievements there. Today I did this, I proposed this to the company. I I did something that maybe something. Sometimes you do things that are important, and you do think they are, but when you tell them, you know if what other people are going to think. Maybe you tell them you did this thing and you think it was not important, but they are important for other people. So keep track of your achievements.
Okay? Awesome. I love it. Okay.
The resume should be clear, as I say here. The top 1/3 of the first page of your resume is critical. Highlight your experience, strength, and what you can do for them. Don't ask what the company can do for you. Ask or answer what you can do for your company. I am paraphrasing a phrase of a famous American president, and I love it. Well, keep this in mind. Well, and the last thing I mentioned here is relevant. Do they need to know your hobbies, your personal ID, address, and social media activity? Because many people include in their resumes their links to Facebook, to Instagram, and so on. And if your profile, your Facebook profile, is not about professional activities, well, it's not relevant. Your hobbies are really relevant for the job. If they are not, well, you don't need them. Your personal ID is not relevant. They will ask it, they will need it when they hire you.
Absolutely.
Well, but not now for the selection process. Your address, well, maybe your neighborhood or your city, exactly. But not your address.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's see.
I was going to ask you, okay, because and the same happens in job interviews. For example, I always talk about this "tell me about yourself" question. In that question, you have to talk about your like the resume, your education, experience, goals, achievements. But we don't talk about our family or pets, right? That's kind of not relevant in an interview unless they ask you. And in some countries, it is illegal to ask for personal information like your marital status or if you have children or gender orientation and things like that.
Well, that's unethical. Mm-hmm. They shouldn't ask you about gender issues or sexual preference or identity. But and you shouldn't include that information. Information about your family shouldn't appear in your resume. They don't mind if you have 1, 2 children or if you don't have them. That's not important. If you're single or married or whatever,
that's not relevant.
It's not relevant. Okay. Absolutely. Maybe they ask you in the interview. Well, the interview is another issue. Well, you can answer some of those questions because they want to know you as a person. Well, but for the resume, they are not relevant. Okay, and the parts of a resume. Your name is your brand. This is something I want to highlight. Your name. If you don't need to put in your resume your full name. Let's think Juan Daniel Pérez de la Serna, for example. They don't need it. Think of your name as a brand. Coca-Cola, 2 words. Hyundai, 1 word. Well, one word. You need two words. You need your name and your surname. Nothing else. Okay? Nothing else.
Perfect.
Protect your personal information. They don't need more than that. Okay? And that the same goes for your public profiles, LinkedIn, for example. Gabi Rincon. Nothing else.
Awesome.
Well, your name is your brand. You should place your name at the top of your resume. Big letters, okay? Not curriculum vitae. No. That's not what you need. Think of a resume as a selling document. When it's the name, it's your name, your brand that goes on the upper part of the resume.
Awesome.
And
it's like your logo.
Yeah. Tell them how to contact you. The phone number, email address. Oh, there's a spelling mistake here.
Don't worry.
Don't do this. Spelling mistakes will give a poor impression about you.
So you're right.
Check your spelling. Ask your teacher to check your spelling.
And you can use Grammarly. Do you use Grammarly? I don't use Grammarly because I'm always doing stuff and I don't have time to check and everything. But people who are not sure, they may use some kind of additional help to help them with spelling. At least with spelling, probably not the ideas, but at least specific words that can be useful.
Grammarly is a jewel. I love it.
That's like Canva.
Really love it. Yeah. Well, location and email address is very important, and have a professional email address, not with numbers. No. Your name, your email address should be name, surname. And it is already taken. Well, that happens. Well, you can use a dot or a hyphen. Well, you might need to be creative, but try to choose an email address
and you can play with the order of the words, like last name and first name, first name, last name. Okay.
Okay. Well, location and link to blog or internet profile. If you have a blog that is about, and you should write a blog about your professional issues. It's very useful for your career development. Well, if it's updated, you can put the link, or you can put the link to your internet profile, to your professional internet profile, like LinkedIn is the most used nowadays. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, it's high time you logged up on LinkedIn and have an updated LinkedIn profile. Okay.
I'm going to copy this part and I'm going to repeat it 100 times because I always tell them the same. Like, write, guys, write short articles, write short posts on LinkedIn. That's important. Awesome.
Yeah. There to write in English. You may make mistakes, but
that's okay.
It's the only way you learn. Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, then you need your branding statement. Which is the role? Think of this. Which is the role you are applying for? Okay. You need a branding statement under your name, contact information, branding statement. Okay. And a summary, a little summary. What can you do for the organization? Tell them who you are and what can you do for them? Okay, and then what goes in your resume? Your experience, your studies, your skills, and your achievements. Your experience consists of jobs, internships, voluntary work. Your skills, your secret sauce, your secret mix of abilities, the things you know how to do. Okay?
Doesn't with no degree. Like no percentages, no just a list of skills.
Sometimes they are looking for someone who knows something about this, who are familiar with Photoshop. You're familiar with Photoshop. Well, maybe you are not an expert, a Photoshop expert, but you know about this. Mm-hmm. Well, your studies, degrees, courses, certifications, and your achievements, very important. Ask, how have you contributed to make your organizations better? The places where you have worked at, how have you contributed to them?
Awesome. This is amazing. This is gold. Thank you very much. I'm going to, can I add this PDF to the course as an additional resource for them to download?
Sure.
Awesome. I'm going to add this, and I'm going to add. I'm going to include your LinkedIn profile, the link to your articles on LinkedIn or your videos, etc.
Thank you. I'll correct the spelling mistakes.
Okay, send them again. Don't worry. Don't worry. Okay.
Well, are there any questions from the students?
Sure. Absolutely. Let me see here. I posted, I asked the people in the speaking club if they had some questions, and some of them, send me the questions.
You told me there was a student who asked you, what can I write on my resume if I have more than 20 years of experience having worked for many companies? And that's not a simple question to answer.
Okay.
Because if you have more than 20 years of experience, it means that you, maybe you are young, but not very young. Like me, I have 41 years old, and we are at this age. You have an enemy that is age discrimination, age bias, and it has there's a new word for this that is ageism. You should make some research on the internet. Before starting this conversation, I was reading an article about this. Here, look, this article, there's a research about this, age bias in selection decisions, the role of facial appearance and business impressions. Well, this happens, human resources departments are biased against age, and machines are biased too. Not because they are bad, because the people who program them are biased, and they don't want people who are old. Okay. And what can you do with that? Does it mean you won't get a job? No, you will get a job. Your worth is more than that. You will get a job, the job you want, the job you deserve, or at least the job you can tolerate. But you'll get the job, okay? But you should do some tasks. There are things you can control, and there are things you can't. What can you control? Well, on your resume, in your resume, you can omit some information. You are not lying, but you can omit some information, okay? First off, omit your age, your date of birth, yeah? Then, your experience for your earlier working experience, the companies you have worked at 15, 20 years ago, or maybe more than 10 years ago. You may not put the dates there.
Okay. The period of time. Okay.
No, just make another section or subsection, and you entitle it earlier working experience, and then just role company. Okay?
Like it. Very good. Awesome.
No more explanations.
Okay.
You should highlight your recent working experience. There, you give details about the year you started, the year you finished, your roles, your achievements. Okay, and on your studies, if you got your degree or your certifications more than 10 years ago, okay, just mention them, but
no dates.
No dates.
Awesome.
Okay, you don't need dates. Okay, that are the strategies against age bias, age discrimination, or ageism.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. I like it. Haven't thought of this way. That's interesting. Okay.
And on the other side, there are people who have recently finished university. They have they got their degree or their certification, and they have no
experience.
Well, there you need to put your studies. You should your studies will come first on your resume, and you need to mention your skills, the things you have learned, the things you know how to do. Okay, your personal qualities will be very important on your resume, in case you are a recent graduate. And there are some other things you can include there. Internships, for example, are very, very important. Your voluntary experiences are important, and your hobbies are important when you are a recent graduate. Not when you are an experienced professional. When you are an experienced professional, your hobbies are not relevant. But when you are a recent graduate, you have no working experience, well, that's important, because you must show them that your interest and your potential, and think every job you have done is a job, is work. It doesn't matter if you worked 2 months, 2 weeks, or if they didn't pay you for doing that. If you weren't paid, okay, it doesn't matter. It's experience, and from that experience you have learned something, okay, and maybe you have someone in that company or organization that can recommend you. So be aware of the worth of everything you have done in life.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. Very good, very good. There's another one. He's called Yuri. He said, send a PDF file versus sending a link to a PDF that I can keep updated. pros and cons a bit of each option.
Pros and cons. Well, I don't recommend that.
Okay. Not a link. You don't recommend a link?
No, because applicant tracking systems scan documents for keywords, so you cannot send a file, okay? And the recruiter expects to receive a document, not a link, okay? So it's not advisable, but you can include links in your resume. Not links, web addresses, okay? Because be sure to, there's a function in Word that you can eliminate the link, just keep the address, okay?
Oh, okay.
Keep the address, that address that can lead you to a professional profile on the web. Okay, you can craft a professional profile. It can be a blog. It can be a website like, for example, about.me. It's a useful site where you can have a professional profile, or LinkedIn. Okay, so that's a way of giving them a source of information that you can keep updated.
Okay. Very good. And anyways, I don't think that, a company, I don't think whenever they are looking for people, they are going to look back to old emails or old messages. They are going to be asking, for new people all the time. So
yeah, they need recent information.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. Wesley said, I'm going to read it, like she wrote it. Please, I want to know how to highlight my experience in the recruitment area, because it's the area in which I want to work now to develop myself, but I haven't worked in this area since 3 years ago, and I want to get an opportunity specifically in this material, in this area.
Okay, well, you can highlight that experience in your summary, in the summary that is on the upper part of your resume. As I talked before, you place your name at the top, contact information, your branding statement, and your summary. And there you highlight your experience in the area you want to highlight. Okay, that's a useful way. There is another way. You can mix these ways, obviously. You can make a functional resume, and you can classify your experience by area. If you have experience in HR experience, sales experience, you can list them by areas. That's a way of doing that. But I recommend you to highlight the experience you are applying for in your summary, and also in your branding statement. But take this into account. Resume is not the whole part of the process, and if you need to change areas, you must do networking. So make connections with people who are in the area you want to work at, and ask them for advice. Okay, that will be very useful.
Exactly. Look at this. I just came up with this question. I have this student. He's from the IT, informatics. And the point is that he's been working, in some area, but now he wants to start working as a tester. Another area. So if you're looking to change the area in which you are working or the position in which you are working, and all your experience is in your current position, how can you show that in the resume, like in the summary? Like, I have experience on this and this and this, but now I want to change into more of a, I don't know, management position. Or is it possible to do that in the resume, like letting them know that you want to make a change, that you're changing?
Yeah, you can do it in your summary, and you can explain it in your summary, and you can explain it in your cover letter. You will need a cover letter for your resume to explain that, but not only show, don't tell. That's something you should keep in mind. Tell them why you will be suitable for that position you are applying for. Okay, you can say, I have worked in this area, mainly doing this and this sort of things, and I feel capable of doing this and that things because I have studied this and that. And maybe you can show some things you have done in that area. Okay, I have done this and that works that enable me to take up a new challenge in this area. Okay,
yeah,
and you can do that. And network. Take this into account. Networking will help you for that transitioning process.
Okay, love it, awesome. Nemrod asks something, but I think you already answered before. For a person with more than 15 years of experience, it is important to place in the curriculum a summary of their experience throughout the 15 years, either in one or different companies. Up to what level of experience information should be placed? So you already talked about that, right?
Yeah, take this into account. Your recent 10 years of experience are the most relevant part of your resume.
Okay, 10 years, great. Now, this one is interesting because, I mean, this person, he's called Nemrod, he's a member of our speaking club, he's been with us for a year. He writes articles on his industry, and he writes them in English. And there's a company that contacted him because of one of his articles, right? But they were, like researching on LinkedIn. So his question is, regardless of the position that is being applied for, should we place information related to research milestones, technological developments of important topics as support in the resume?
Definitely, you should include the most important milestones of your career should be included in your resumes. And you have made research or published articles or books that may conform a huge amount of information. So you may need to add an extra page or an extra document with that information, okay, and order them. You can write them in APA style, okay, but you will need to add a page or add a document just for that. In your resume, in the first page, you can highlight some of that information, but it's advisable to include another page or another document for articles, for research, for books, and so on.
And at the end of the resume, can they add something like for more, I don't know, articles and information on my, I don't know, research, etc., go to, and then you write the name of your blog or whatever that information is.
Yeah, sure. And there are many websites that are where researchers post their works, so you can link to them. One thing, if the vacancy, when you read the job description, the vacancy says that is required to have more than 15 years of experience, well, that's an exception to the rule I was saying before. Okay?
Oh,
because
alright, in
for
the age.
that,
okay.
For that vacancy, you will need to explain, to show you have more than 15 years of experience.
Of course.
That's exception. Okay?
Awesome. That's important. That's relevant. Okay, and the last one, at the level of courses or training carried out, if there are many, what do you recommend should be included in the curriculum? Is there a summary or only the most important ones based on the position that is being applied?
Well, you should consider the position you're applying for, okay? Because, well, if you study music, for example, sorry.
Don't worry.
You study music and you're applying for a sales position, well, maybe it's not relevant unless it's you will sell musical instruments, but if it's not related to music, you don't need that. So include your certifications. If they are recent, include the date, and but you don't need more than 6, for example. It's a good number. Between 3 and 6 is a good number. More than that is too much. So select the most relevant. And please, if you took a course on things that are very common, like computing or
Excel,
that's not necessary. Well, if it's an advanced Excel course, well, that's necessary, because people who excel at Excel
I don't know, they are, from NASA or something. Look at this. What I tell them to do sometimes, if it's possible, is that to have the job description in a document and the resume in another. So you need to try to obviously not make a copy, but try to include as many words as possible from the job description into your resume, if they apply, of course, right? So try to highlight the requirements in the job description in your resume, because that's what they are looking for, right? So whatever that is not related to the job description and you consider is like additional, don't include it. It's like, if it is not relevant and it's not important, don't include it, right?
Yes, paraphrasing is something you must do when crafting your resume, when tweaking your resume, because you have one resume, okay? There are common people need only one resume. There are some people who need more than one, but that's not common. But you have one resume, okay?
In which cases do people need more than one?
If you have you have worked in very different areas.
Okay.
So different that there's a lack of harmony between them. Okay, you will need two resumes. Okay, that's rare. But you may need to tweak your resume a bit for job descriptions, and then you might do what you have said. You paraphrase and you include the keyword, the skills needed. Well, if you have the skills you have, well, put them in your resume, okay? And, or in your summary too, in your cover letter, and remember to paraphrase that also when you get to the interview.
Exactly. Okay, that was the last question. I don't know if you have anything else to say about that question.
No. Let me know what's the next question, please.
Okay, no, there are no more questions, but I have one. Imagine, but not from the curriculum perspective, but like as a career counselor, etc. What would you recommend to a person? For example, I have this student who's a salesperson. He's an engineer and he's been working as a salesperson in his industry, right? As an engineer, but selling. And that's all the experience he's had because, I don't know, that's the jobs that he has applied to or he's got an opportunity. Anyways, point is that now he wants to do something more technical. So what would you advise to people who are changing, who are, like looking for something different in the same industry, but in a different area? So he doesn't want to work more on sales. He wants to start working more on the technical area, but his experience is on selling. So what can people do when they want to change? Like they have a lot of experience, but they want to change because it is hard. For them it's hard, and I don't know, it's an issue.
Yeah, the hardest thing is when you need to change industries and roles. But if you're going to change just roles, it's not so difficult. I'm not saying it's easy, but you can do it. The best thing to do is, well, don't highlight your achievements in a role you want to leave. Okay, you may highlight the certifications you have for the role you are applying for, and if you have, and the projects you have worked in, things you have done in that job you want, that's what you need to highlight. Exactly. But don't highlight your sales results because they are not relevant for the position you want.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is a matter of highlighting what really matters, right, to that position. Okay.
And you need to omit some information. That's the truth. Truth. You need to omit some information because that's not faking. You're not faking. You are just selecting information that is relevant for the position you want.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. I love it. Okay, this is amazing. Thank you so much for so much, information and insights. Now you have one of my students' resume.
Yeah. It's here. Let's see. Well, okay. Well, thank you, Tiaran, for your resume. I have hidden some information, okay, because to protect your privacy, okay. Don't show your. This is a mistake many people make. They show they put their resumes on LinkedIn. You shouldn't do that, because you're showing private information like your email address. You can receive spam, your telephone number, and your house. Where do you live? Where you live? the world doesn't need that information. So don't show the world that information. You should protect your family and yourself. Okay. Well, the first thing I see here is position applying, customer experience manager. Well, this doesn't go here. Okay. As I said before, you need to, your name is your brand, and that goes on the upper part, at the top of your resume. So here goes customer experience manager. Okay. Well, I prefer that, I suggest that you include your experience first and not your studies. Okay. For your studies, you only need to the date you finished your studies, not this. Okay. But experience, customer experience consultant. Well,
okay.
Well, be aware of spelling mistakes. Okay. Don't mix resumes. If you are going to craft an English resume, well, your English resume, Spanish, they must be separated. Don't mix languages. Okay.
Now, look at this. When we were talking about verbs, and I know this is a really common question, you said that in the past. So, for example, in here, it could be leaded customer experience consulting, designed thinking methodology. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Past simple. Past simple is a tense, the verb tense you need in your resume. If you don't know what is past simple, ask your teacher.
Okay.
This is a grammar term that Gabby will explain you. Here, reported.
Okay.
Analyzed. And it depends. If the resume is for the United States, the American market, this is the way. If it is for the English market, analyzed. Okay. Well, so be consistent in your spelling, because there are some varieties in English. Okay. Well, this is very long. Many responsibilities. Okay. Just give a short description. You can, in this format, a short description of your responsibilities, and then you may use bullet points to highlight your achievements. Let's think.
Okay.
These are your achievements, and they go this way. Okay. With bullet points, you highlight your achievements. Hard skills and soft skills. Don't separate hard skills from soft skills. Okay, just skills. And you make your mix there, but you may need to separate some technical skills, like, for example, computing skill or technology profile. You may need to separate that, or to make a section under the skill section, a subsection of technical skills and language skills. Okay. But
and for example, here she says Microsoft Office Intermediate. Is it intermediate? Like, what is intermediate in Microsoft Office? Like, how can you measure Microsoft Office? How would you say it is intermediate or advanced? Is it necessary to write like?
You don't need that. I don't know how to measure it. I don't know if there's some like the European for languages we have.
Exactly.
A1, A2 level, but I don't know. But you don't need that. And you don't need to include Microsoft Office in your resume because it's very obvious. It's very common. You don't need that. Okay? Unless you are very good at PowerPoint or at Excel. Well,
and it is relevant. Excel. And it is relevant because in the human resources area, probably, I mean, you need it, but it's not that relevant so as the software, for example. You need to know how to, work with the software, okay.
You are supposed to know how to work with Word or Excel. But if you are an advanced user of some of those programs, you need to include that information in your resume, because people who are, as I said before, people who excel at Excel, well, we need them.
Say it.
The companies need them.
Yeah. Now look at this. In hard skills, she also mentions methodologies that are used in her industry. Lean Kaizen, design thinking, customer journey blueprint, emotional redesign, business canvas. I mean, should she write it here in the hard skills or in the, I don't know, in the experience? Because maybe it's kind of repeated.
Yeah, but it's okay to write all those things in your skills section. It's okay. Sometimes you need to repeat some words, and that's okay. It's not a huge problem if you repeat some words. Okay. Well, I think we are done with this because this work is in progress. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And regarding soft skills, things related to, I don't know, customer service.
Yeah, well, think this way. Hard skills are the things you know, the things you know how to do. And soft skills are more related to the style, how you do them.
As a human, as a person.
And soft skills, the style, you as a person, don't overuse soft skills. This is an advice I give you. Because sometimes it's very common that people overuse them. I am responsible, I am reliable, hardworking. Well, don't overuse that. You may highlight your hard skills, the things you know how to do, the things you are good at, the knowledge you have, and you can include some descriptions of your personal attributes. Well, you can put them, but don't overuse them.
Okay, perfect. Very good. Oh my God, this is great. This is amazing.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And I'm very glad I work in hospitality 8 years. During 8 years of my life, I was accustomed to speaking with English and American clients. Now it's 3 years since I started working in another area, so it has been a challenge to talk during this hour, but I enjoy it, and I think I managed pretty well. What do you think?
I do think so. You did amazing. There's no possibility for us to speak Spanish, never. Okay, This is amazing. I mean, it's so helpful. I will include your PDF in the course. Whenever, I have another question for my students, I'll let you know, because you've been really helpful with us. Thanks for checking Terrence's curriculum. And yeah, that's it. I don't know, any final thoughts or advice or suggestion for because the issue here is non-native speakers. Like, as a non-native speaker, what is it that you have to highlight? Because something that I tell them when they're preparing for interviews is that the difference between a job interview in Spanish or in English is that you have to highlight your English, right? Because the rest is the same. It's your same experience, education, etc. But when it is in English, you have to show them that you're able to communicate. So regarding the resume in English, these people are sending this resume to international companies, maybe in America or in Europe or in Asia, whatever, but they use English. So I don't know, is there any advice as non-native speakers? I always tell them not to lie on their English level. Like, if you are not advanced, do not write that you are an advanced speaker, because they are going to notice, right? And if they call you for an interview and you're not able to communicate, you're wasting their time, okay? So, I don't know.
Well, trust yourself, be confident. Once I was interviewed in a big company, and the person who interviewed me made some mistakes, okay, and I noticed them. Well, because we had an interview. Part of the interview was in English, and I detected some mistakes. And at the end of the interview, I asked them for feedback. Okay, and what the interviewers told me, that although I didn't make grammar mistakes when speaking, the way I was speaking was very slow. I took my time to reflect my answers, and they needed someone who could answer promptly to the questions. Well, so it was my communication style wasn't suitable for that role. Okay, they didn't need someone who was perfect in grammar, someone who had a perfect pronunciation. Okay, that sort of things. They didn't need that. They needed someone who could give prompt answers. Okay, so don't worry about grammar, about accent, about when speaking, you should study. You must study grammar. But, yeah. But when speaking, don't worry too much about that, because that isn't the most important thing. The most important thing is that you are able to convey a message, and to understand other people, and to be understood. Okay, and to fit with the communication style the organization needs.
Awesome. Look at this. I'm going to share my screen just a second, and I promise this is the last thing that I'm going to ask you. She sent me, Tiaren sent me like a version that she's editing of the same curriculum. You told me that you prefer this, like Word document style. She was preparing this one. This is a template, but I don't know what you think about it. For example, in here she has her name, as the personal brand, as you advise. Then she has customer experience professional or consultant, I think it depends on her, right? Like it depends on the industry. But generally speaking, would this be an appropriate, I mean, she hasn't corrected anything that we have discussed, okay? Obviously the work experience goes before, but in terms of the layout.
Well, the layout is good. It gives a good impression. If it's a human who is going to read this resume, well, that human will have a good impression. Well, I have nothing to say about that. Okay. The problem should appear if a machine, an ATS, will scan your resume. Okay. Because maybe the machine will mix up your left and right columns. But so for the machine, you need a one column resume. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if the machine will be able to read appropriately this document.
Okay.
I have my doubts. So I would rather advise you, Karen, to have this format when you are going to send your resume by email, and the other format, the Word format, when you're going to send it, to upload it to a platform.
Okay, so normally when you're uploading the curriculum in a platform, it is an automation. It's like the machine reading the profile. Okay.
Yeah. And you can see there are some job portals where you don't need to complete all the fields of the forms. You see the form there, and when you upload your resume, your document, in minutes,
automatically
all the fields are automatically filled. If you submit a simple design resume that is made up in Word, the machine will easily be able to do that job. But if you have a complex or very visual CV, you make things hard for the robots.
Yeah, absolutely. They are smart, but not that smart. Okay.
No. That is why pictures, photos are not required in many companies or industries or countries, but machines don't read them. But if your resume is going to be read by a person, well, it will help them. A photo will help them. I don't know why, because the only thing they need to know is what you can do for them.
Absolutely.
But that's the way things are still working in South America. South America, okay? But in the United States, in Europe, photos are not necessary, and sometimes, and many times, they are forbidden.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here in Chile, it's not allowed either. I mean, you don't put pictures in your resume, but in Venezuela, you do it. So I don't know. It depends on the country. Absolutely. Okay, this is so cool, Ale. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being here. This has been amazing. I didn't know, like not even 10% of everything that you were sharing here. So this is going to be absolutely useful for my community. And for sure, I will ask you to come up, like later again.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I'm very pleased to share this hour and almost half with you, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed sharing my knowledge. I'm constantly learning because life is a learning process. So I'm constantly learning, experimenting, and reading because I want to do a better job for my clients. And the thing I like most is to help people. Okay, I like to share my knowledge. That is what inspires me to do this job. And I like to speak English. You in previous conversations, well, the question of the language came up, and we could have done this conversation in Spanish, but I said Spanish is boring, and I prefer the challenge.
You have to attend our speaking club to practice with us on Saturday. That would be great, really.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, absolutely. On Saturdays, 5 p.m. EST, always there. It would be amazing to have you there. Now, tell me, I don't know, your LinkedIn profile, how people can contact you if they have more questions or if they want to, get your services so you can check their materials, their resumes, etc.
Well, thank you for that. I have a website that is in construction, that is redaccioncv.com.
Okay.
And you can find me on LinkedIn. I like to invite all of your students to follow me and to read my posts, my profile, to watch my videos also. You will find me as Alejandro Motta. My URL is Alejandro Motta UY, and you'll find me there as Alejandro Motta, redactor de CV, because there are more people with my same name and surname. You can follow me. I'm not currently open to new connections for a reason that, but for other reasons. But people who are leaving comments on my posts, normally, well, I tend to invite them to connect. So I like to encourage your students to comment on my posts, to share my posts, to react to them, and to read them, obviously. And I will please to receive their comments, and please follow me. That I like to teach the things I know, or the things I study. Okay.
Absolutely. You have a lot of valuable information. As long as your website is ready, let me know so I can edit, the description in the video and add the website.
It's online, but
okay. So I will add the link.
I need more. I need to work, to continue working on it, because there are some incomplete informations, but the site is online and it's working.
Okay, perfect. I will add it then. Thank you, Ale. Thank you so much for your time. See you again anytime soon. And that's it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure, Gabby.
Thank you. Thank you so much.